In the arid heart of the desert, where the sands stretch endlessly under the scorching sun, there is a legend of a hero whose powers are as ancient as the dunes themselves. His name is Rami, but most know him as the Sand Sculptor. Rami possesses a unique ability, the power to manipulate sand, shaping it into weapons, shields, and even massive creatures capable of battling enemies that threaten his land. Rami wasn't always the Sand Sculptor. He was once a humble nomad, traveling with his family from one oasis to another, surviving the harsh desert environment with little more than the wind at his back. His people, the Al-Shifa tribe, had long believed that the desert held secrets, ancient powers waiting to be unlocked by someone worthy. One fateful evening, as Rami was exploring a forgotten part of the desert, a massive sandstorm swept through the land, separating him from his tribe. Lost and disoriented, he sought shelter in the remains of an ancient temple buried beneath the dunes. Inside, he discovered an ancient artifact, a stone tablet inscribed with strange symbols that seemed to pulse with energy. As he touched the tablet, an overwhelming force coursed through his body, and the sands around him came to life, swirling and shifting at his command. From that moment on, Rami was no longer an ordinary man. The sands themselves became an extension of his will. At first, Rami struggled to control his newfound powers. The sand, though malleable, was unpredictable, and it required great focus to wield it with precision. He spent years honing his skills in secret, practicing in the vast expanse of the desert where no one could witness his trials and failures. Through intense training, Rami learned to manipulate sand into various forms. He could harden it into a sword as sharp as steel, or shape it into a shield strong enough to deflect arrows and bullets. But his most impressive skill was his ability to create life-sized creatures, golems made entirely of sand that moved and fought at his command. These creatures, though temporary, were powerful allies in battle, capable of overwhelming even the most formidable foes. His bond with the desert grew deeper as he learned to listen to the shifting sands, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath him. The desert, once a harsh and unforgiving place, became his ally. He could sense intruders from miles away, the vibrations of their footsteps rippling through the ground like whispers in the wind. Rami's powers did not go unnoticed for long. Word of a mysterious figure who could control the desert spread quickly, and soon enemies began to seek him out. Mercenaries, warlords, and treasure hunters, all looking to exploit the ancient powers of the desert for their own gain. But they underestimated the strength of the Sand Sculptor. One of Rami's greatest battles came when a ruthless warlord named Zaruk, seeking to conquer the desert tribes, set his sights on the Al-Shifa. Zaruk's army was vast, equipped with advanced weapons and machinery that could decimate entire villages. Knowing that his people stood no chance against Zaruk's forces, Rami stepped forward, revealing his true powers for the first time. As Zaruk's army marched into the desert, Rami stood alone at the edge of the dunes, the wind swirling around him. With a wave of his hand, the sands rose like a tidal wave, engulfing Zaruk's soldiers. He summoned towering golems, their massive forms crashing into the enemy lines, scattering the soldiers like leaves in the wind. Swords made of hardened sand sliced through armor, and shields blocked the onslaught of bullets, but the battle was not without its challenges. Zaruk, a cunning strategist, had anticipated resistance and brought powerful weapons designed to tear through the defenses. Tanks and armored vehicles rolled forward, threatening to breach Rami's lines of defense. Rami knew he needed to act quickly. Drawing upon every ounce of his strength, he manipulated the sand into a colossal serpent, its massive body undulating through the battlefield. The serpent coiled around the tanks, crushing them with its immense power. Zaruk, witnessing the destruction of his forces, fled into the desert, defeated and humiliated. After his victory, Rami's reputation as the Sand Sculptor grew, and he became a protector of the desert. But Rami wasn't content to be a mere warrior. He understood that his powers could be used for more than just destruction. He began to use the sand to help his people in times of need. In times of drought, he would summon underground water sources, ensuring that his tribe and neighboring villages had enough to survive. He helped build homes, using the sand to create sturdy structures that could withstand the harsh desert climate. In times of conflict, he acted as a mediator, using his powers to prevent bloodshed by demonstrating that the sands could both protect and destroy. But not everyone saw the Sand Sculptor as a hero. Some feared his powers, believing that he was too dangerous to be left unchecked. Others coveted his abilities, seeking to capture or kill him in order to harness the ancient power of the desert for themselves. Rami's greatest test came when a rival appeared, a mysterious figure known only as the Glassmaker, who had discovered the secret of turning sand into glass. The Glassmaker was a former scholar who had once studied the same ancient texts that had granted Rami his powers. But unlike Rami, the Glassmaker sought to dominate, believing that only he was worthy of controlling the desert. The two clashed in a battle that shook the very foundations of the desert. The Glassmaker's creations, shimmering glass warriors, were nearly as strong as Rami's sand creatures, and the intense heat of the battle threatened to melt the very landscape. But Rami had one advantage. While glass was strong, it was brittle. With a well-placed strike, his sand golems shattered the glass warriors, turning them back into the desert they once were. In the final confrontation, Rami and the Glassmaker faced each other alone, their powers colliding in a storm of sand and glass. With a swift motion, Rami summoned a whirlwind of sand that enveloped the Glassmaker, trapping him in a prison of shifting dunes. Defeated and humiliated, the Glassmaker disappeared into the desert, never to be seen again. With the Glassmaker defeated, Rami continued his role as the protector of the desert. His legend grew and his name became synonymous with the endless sands. But Rami knew that his power was not just a gift, it was a responsibility. The desert was alive, and he was its guardian. In the years that followed, Rami taught others the ways of the desert, passing on his knowledge and wisdom to future generations. Though none could control the sand as he could, they learned to respect and protect the land that had given them life. And so, the Sand Sculptor's story became part of the desert itself. A tale whispered by the wind, carried across the dunes and forever etched in the sands of time.